I'd like to welcome you to the division head presentations regarding course selections for your incoming freshman students. My name is Amy Hill. I'm the division head for history.
Good evening. I am Helen Gallagher, English division head.
And we have the honor of kicking the evening off by sharing some information about freshman courses in our shared divisions.
Okay. So,
so we want to, we can go back one slide, please. Thank you. Okay, so we begin tonight by acknowledging that we know a few things about your child, but you really know quite a bit more about your child than we do. And all of what you know about your child and his or her academic strengths and needs and interests and social emotional development, all of that is important in deciding which courses to take in the freshman year. So you know some things about your child's interest and capacity for independent reading and the ability to sit and do so distractedly or undistractedly. You know about the amount of time your child can commit to doing homework. And you know your child's habits for keeping up with homework, as well as the academic habits for planning and organizing work, and the balance of life. So things like the extracurricular activities, obligations outside of school, and so forth. And so these are all things that we invite you to consider as you weigh the choices that you're going to make tonight for your child's freshman year.
and as you are aware, with the information you received from the district, we do use information from the sender schools. So for example, if we are able to access something like the MAP score, typically we use the fall MAP score. We find that that correlates better with information about reading skill at grade level. And then of course your student came as an incoming freshman, completed the STAR standardized assessment for reading and math skills. We also look at grades where they are available. Again, we look at everything that we can find, including, for example, things about their world languages, things about the students' math scores. We find, again, if we can connect a number of data dots, we have a pretty good sense of where the student is in relationship to what we have to offer. It's important at this point, though, to recognize that we are partners with you in understanding what's best for your child. And as many of you have reached out to us, you know that we are responsive to really make good decisions along with your counselor on behalf of our students. Okay, next slide.
And so Helen and I are going to talk about how we have put together the course options for your children. So students whose scores we have MAP and STAR that consistently demonstrate reading at or above grade level. These students have the option of selecting English A, which is an honors level course, English, which is a college prep level course, or World Studies, which is an integrated course combining English and history, which we'll talk about in a little bit more detail later. And then in the history division, your child can choose to take World History A, which is the honors course, World History College Prep, or again, World Studies combining the two courses.
Next slide. So for students, so if you think about this idea of options, as Amy discussed, we are talking about students for whom there may be lots of decisions about where they want to focus and some of the other balance in their extracurricular activities. That's why we talk about these as options. And as you meet the other division heads and hear what other disciplines offer, it's been increasingly important to us to to offer the option so that a student doesn't feel that it's all honors or all not honors. And this is something that, I think students really appreciate in the conversation, that if you have reliable grade level or above grade level reading skills by every measure that we have, there is a decision to make. And that decision is whether you take world studies at the CP level, English and history, and that at that point there are individual courses, or take our freshman honors English or history classes, again, independent of each other. But when we meet students and we survey what we know, and we see that some students, there is an inconsistency in the information that we get from the standardized scores. And again, the standardized scores are not the only thing that we look at. It's quite a constellation of information that we put together for making these. Now we're talking about requirements. So options for students who are reliably reading above the grade level, and requirements for students who need more support so that they can be as successful in their freshman year as possible. We know that freshman year is truly the most important year in high school. And all the research indicates that performance, behavior, satisfaction, attendance happening in the freshman year has tremendous influence, not just on high school, but on life after high school. High school doesn't last forever. So the required courses for this approaching grade level are in our college prep band. And what you'll notice is again, the option for world studies, the option for a separate history and English class, and then in addition, the literacy seminar course. This course is a reading support course. It's actually a lot more than that. And again, we require it because we have learned that reading really, it's the single greatest indicator of overall success. And what we have to offer in our support program for the literacy seminar does accelerate learning. It does help students to really understand why reading, something that unfortunately they're doing less and less of in the conventional ways, matters so much in all of their courses. Next slide.
So to continue with Helen's description of requirements and options, when we meet students whose reading suggests a need for acceleration, meaning that they are reading below grade level by one or more grades, then we are looking to offer them a more intensive level of support. And the programming for students for whom that's the situation is World Studies Immersion. And the World Studies Immersion program is an integration of 3 disciplines, as you can see here. So we're integrating instruction in English and literature, instruction in history, and then also the reading skills to support their acceleration through the freshman year, so that when students are enrolling for sophomore year classes, they are far more likely to be successful in college prep level courses than if they were not to be enrolled in this sort of wraparound program that integrates all these 3 areas. This is a program that has 2 teachers per section. So every English class has an English teacher and a special education teacher, history the same, and reading as well. And so there are 6 professionals devoted to your child in this program. And what we can say about it is that we consistently see dramatic improvement in students reading from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. Helena, if I would invite you to add anything that I have missed.
This is a program that is no longer, we were for a while calling it a pilot, and now we are so confident of what it has to offer and the success that it has provided to students, again, in this all-important freshman year, that it's not a pilot, it's part of our DNA. So if now, okay, so again, I know this can feel a little confusing. all of our students will take English as freshmen. And so that's the starting point if you want to now take a breath and say, what am I hearing? So all students take English. It's a matter of the option to take the honors English and the course either at the CP level or the honors level is really an introduction to literature and composition. And the idea here is students access a number of texts, fiction and nonfiction, and we focus quite a bit on writing. And so as the year progresses, students add more and more writing to their portfolio. And so the distinction that we try to make, so for students who have the option to take the honors English, is their capacity to read independently. And again, this means a sustained amount of reading, somewhere between 30 and 45 minutes at a time. And of course, some of the things that we're seeing in remote learning and some of the ways in which students use time, you can be sure that when we're back on campus, we will be talking to students about reading stamina. We probably haven't emphasized that as much as we typically do in the remote learning. And this is an important thing for many of you who are trying to make sense out of the recommendation for literacy seminar. We see quite a few students, for example, who are taking honors. They elect the honors option for English, and they also choose literacy seminar. I see this as it's not required in that case, but it's a choice. And the choice makes sense, especially now as students perhaps have not been reading as much as they would have been. And so in the English curriculum, the difference between 113 and 115 really has to do with stamina for independent reading, accessing texts at a variety of levels, and getting support, but really accessing them individually. Next slide.
And in history, some of what Helen just described would also be true. So the primary differences between our college prep level class and our honors class involve text complexity and amount of independent reading, and also the pace of instruction and the pace of learning. And so in this college prep level class, texts are likely to be more at grade level or perhaps slightly above grade level, with more teacher scaffolding for the more challenging texts. And in writing, there's also going to be more of the writing done in class as opposed to being done at home or outside of class. In the honors class, the text complexity tends to be quite a bit more rigorous than in the college prep class, and the pace of the readings is going to feel more accelerated for students too, because there will be reading assigned typically every night. When students write in honors, there is significant instruction in the class, and there is also a significant component that is done independently outside of class. So again, balancing those factors about the courses and your child's interests, motivations, other courses, all of that is going to be important.
Next slide. Finally, we're going to conclude this evening by speaking briefly about world studies, and you will get more information in your counselor meetings. But this is a question that Amy and I, and this is really why we pair up in this presentation, is that world studies, which is a curriculum that is earning credit in both required English and required history, is a double period. So students work with two teachers, 2 consecutive periods. And along with the curricular integration, and you see some examples here of the texts and the essential questions, you also have the kind of the fact that it's one class. So I think many students and parents think about what it means to walk out of an English class and go to a math class and then to a history class PE, but in this case, we stay in English and in history. It's one course, so it does have less, out of class preparation. I'm not saying that it's not there, but if you think about a student getting homework in an English class and homework in a history class, and then you think about a student in world studies, you can see that right away with the time and with the fact that two teachers are designing curriculum and working together to emphasize those skills in two required areas, it can be a real advantage. We like the idea of the support that it provides to students, but we also recognize that it may not be, for some students, that double period may not actually be the greatest thing. Some students, and your students, and this is again where we are partners in understanding what are the best decisions you can make. And world studies is a pretty important decision because your student then will earn the required English credit and will earn the required world history credit, which is a prerequisite to the US history credit. And so thinking about how it falls over the course of 4 years is pretty important. It's one of those decisions you will make.
That's it for Helen and me.
Yeah.
I'm happy to say one thing before introducing my colleague from another division, and that is, if you do have questions, I see the questions are coming in. We do plan to address as many as possible at the end of our presentation today, and so we will get to those. And at this point, I'm going to hand the baton to Dr. Julie Fry, Division Head for Mathematics.
Good evening. Welcome to OPRF. Welcome to the open house as it is. I'm humbled to be able to present to you this evening, and really hoping that I'll be able to meet you all in person in the near future. So in math, we have a lot of different options that your child may have been recommended for. So what I've done is I've created a slideshow where you're going to be able to click through your particular recommendations and then the different options that you would have depending on them. So what I'm going to do is talk briefly about how you got your recommendation, and then I'm going to take you through a couple of these slides so you could see how the slideshow works. So the most important part about math is that you have prerequisite skills for the next coming level. So there's two things to think about math. There's the level of college prep versus honors, but then there's also the sequence where you need to have the prerequisite skills to be able to go from one sequence to the next. So for kids who want to take plane geometry, say for example, they have to have the prerequisite of an algebra course because algebra is required to take plane geometry. Plane geometry then is required to take advanced algebra, etc. So when you got your STAR Math scores, the scores help us to determine what class you're going to go into, along with whatever course you're currently taking. So we looked at the math scores, we looked at what course you're currently taking in math, and then we looked at your STAR Math Enterprise scores, which also helps look at how well you can do prerequisite skills. And that's how we come up with your recommendation. I will tell you that the most important math class you will ever take is algebra. Algebra is the foundation for absolutely all math that comes afterwards. So we really focus to make sure that every kid is proficient in all algebra skills. If your algebra skills are solid, you're going to be fine. Okay, so let's say you were recommended for algebra or math 8-9. Yeah. These are all the different options that we had regarding where we might place you. So let's look at pre-algebra block 200. Pre-algebra block 200 is for kids who are below grade average, meaning there are some very important prerequisite skills that are missing. And so the pre-algebra block is a 2-hour-long course with 2 teachers. And the whole idea of the class is to accelerate your learning so that you get everything you need so that you can move up to algebra. So go ahead and hit the home button. Algebra, yeah, hit that one again. Oh, it goes all the way home. So algebra, hit the algebra with the algebra extended. Can you just go back one slide? This is going to be harder for you guys to navigate than I thought maybe. Yeah, algebra with extended. So algebra class, again, most important class you're ever going to take in math. The extended class is for those kids who are scoring below grade level, but we think we can get you through algebra if you have some extra support. So our extended algebra class is a class where we pre-teach concepts, we reteach concepts, we give kids an opportunity to look at concepts in different ways. We skill build through an online program. And the idea here is to give the student, you, enough support that you can make it through the most foundational math class you'll ever take, and then be completely successful for your rest of your career. Okay, go back to the home. Home is only taking you to, can you hit the home button again? Yes, so you could tell that I'm not a professional slideshow creator. So that's if you're taking algebra or math 8-9. So hit that one again. The other option is if you're currently in algebra and you're proficient in algebra, you could go further. You're going to get 2 options there, plane geometry A or geometry A. The main difference between those courses is geometry A is really for the 95 percentile. It's a kind of a college level course where kids will be required to make a lot of connections on their own. There's not going to be any retests. There's not going to be any, you could turn in homework late. It moves at a very quick pace. It covers a lot of ground. It goes really, really deep. So plane geometry A, if you're proficient in geometry, in algebra, most of you are going to want to go into plane geometry A. Okay, you could go home. And then if you're currently in geometry, so go ahead and push the one, yes. So if you're currently taking geometry, there were 2 choices here. There were intermediate algebra A, and then there was advanced algebra A. It's the same difference as the plane geometry A and the geometry A. Advanced algebra A is a college level course. It goes very deep, it goes very fast, there's no test retakes, it's like a college class, where intermediate algebra A is more in alignment with a high school honors advanced algebra course. So those are the differences there. So if we could go to the end of the slideshow. Yeah, that's good. So here's some frequently asked questions. These are questions that I get quite a bit. So if you go to the end of the slideshow and you have one of these questions, what is extended algebra? Why should my kid take it? What's the difference between intermediate algebra A and advanced algebra A? This will give you some options. In the slideshow, while you're going through, there are a couple things you will notice. One, there'll be an option of if I've been recommended for plane geometry A, but I want to override to geometry A. There will be a link there for the override button, and it'll take you right into the parental override where your mom and dad could override your course. The second thing is it will also tell you exactly what summer course to take if you want to go, say, from plane geometry A to geometry A. Or let's say you've been recommended for algebra with extended, and you're like, I really don't want to take extended because I want to take something else. There is a summer course you could take, and if you score high enough on that summer course, you could then take algebra without extended. All that is part of the slideshow, and the slideshow is going to be put online. Also, you can email me with any questions that you may have. So that's it for me. I hope that the slideshow works out really well for you. And I now have the pleasure to introduce my colleague, Mr. Matt Kirkpatrick, the division head of the science department.
Hey, everybody. I am Matt Kirkpatrick, and I'm the division head for science and applied technology. You could go to the next slide. So we'll try to quickly go through this, but probably the most important thing that we want everybody to realize is that our graduation requirement is less than what a state college or university might ask for in their admissions considerations. So we encourage all of our students to strongly consider taking 3 full years of science, and then students who are going to pursue, they think they might pursue STEM or science related field after high school should probably think about taking 4 full courses or even more. Some students double up to their junior and senior year with the advanced placement of courses. And then we also have a graduation requirement for 1 semester of applied art or technology. And there's options for that in multiple different divisions, but I'll talk about the ones within our division in a little bit. Okay, next, please. So all of our courses, we've done a ton of work over the past decade to align our courses to a new set of standards, the next generation science standards. And we're really pushing for relevance and practice of science in all of our courses. And I think we've done a pretty good job of getting there in all of them to the point where I think your choices are really down to preference of content and not necessarily instructional approach. Next, please. So you're basically have 2 content choices for the 9th grade year. We have a biology first sequence that goes biology, chemistry, and physics. And then we have a physics first sequence that goes physics, chemistry, and then finishes with biology. Again, this hasn't always been the case, but we've really made it to the point where in both of these courses, these 9th grade courses, the teachers are heavily focused on those standards that I talked about and heavily focused on a relevant experience. So I don't think there's as big of a difference in the instructional approach as there has been in previous years. So I think the big differences are going to be the biology courses will be vocabulary and reading intensive, whereas you're going to get a lot more algebra and math in the physics course. Many times people think that the physics course is going to be more hands-on than the biology course. It's not true. Our teachers do a great job of incorporating hands-on work or lab work into both of those courses. So either one, they're going to work really hard to engage the students in there. There is one kind of ironic twist to all this, and that is if you start with biology and you already know that you might want to be an engineer, like a mechanical engineer or something like that, the biology first sequence actually is a better preparation for our advanced placement physics course that's based on calculus as a senior, which a lot of our kids who are going to go on to engineers will take. And the reason for that is you get physics as a junior and we're able to do a lot more in-depth math, for example, trigonometry in the junior physics class compared to the freshman physics class. And then the reverse is true for the models of physics class. If you really already know, and you don't have to, but if you already know that you want to go into something like health science or environmental science that would have you interested in our advanced placement biology course or advanced placement environmental science class, or even our anatomy and physiology course, we allow the kids in the physics first sequence to take advanced placement biology as a junior. And what that does is it opens up another slot during their senior year for either an elective or another advanced placement course. So it's a little bit of an earlier access to advanced placement courses. But again, the instructional approach in both of them has grown to be very similar. So these are really, I think, the important distinctions. Okay, next, please. We do have an option for support. It is only in our biology sequence. If you received a recommendation for biology E, that course is co-taught, and the teachers in that course place a heavy emphasis on providing support in reading, writing, and executive functioning, and really trying to accelerate the growth in those areas so that students can leave that course and enter into a unsupported chemistry course as a sophomore. So if you received a recommendation for that, it was because what we have available, which again is less than probably what you have available, suggested that your student may be reading, writing, doing math below grade level. Next, please. We have two options for honors coursework in science in both of the pathways. It doesn't matter if you choose the biology or the physics one. The biology A course is going to be the honors option for the biology first sequence, and then models of physics is an honors option in and of itself. So you don't have to choose models of physics A. All you have to do is just choose models of physics. There's some slight differences in how they award the honors credit in models of physics. For example, this year, any student who received an A grade received the honors distinction on their transcript and then the weighted GPA bump. For biology A, it was students who received an A or a B grade. Actually, I should say all the students got the honors distinction regardless of grade. But it's important to point out that they only receive a weighted GPA credit if they earned a B or higher. And we really believe that any student who's motivated and really interested, who is reading, writing, doing math at grade level or above, will do just fine. Their motivation will push them through these courses. Next, please. This is just a quick peek if you want this, and we've posted all this on the websites, and I believe the counselors have it linked in their presentation too. If you want to take a look at what the options are after freshman year and where everybody goes, but you see the arrows all lead to that elective box and advanced placement box and dual credit options in the junior and senior year. Next, please. So these are the applied technology options that we have. We have a pre-engineering sequence where students can eventually take courses like civil engineering and architecture or digital electronics or even computer integrated manufacturing. Freshman year, though, we ask that they start in one of our foundational courses, and that course is called Intro to Engineering Design. So if they're really interested in engineering, they need to take one of our foundational courses, and they can start doing that as early as next year with the IED class. We also have a number of manufacturing and architecture related courses, but maybe I should say construction related courses in the one on the right. So starting next year, they can take our Intro to Woodworking course, and then we have an advanced woodworking course, and then we have a capstone woodworking course. So all those are semester options, whereas the engineering options are full year. And the woodworking courses are usually very popular with our students. They make some great stuff coming out of there. And then we have a number of students that kind of dabble in both the engineering and the construction together. Next, please. We do have a healthcare pathway. We have kind of a capstone course where students can leave with a license to be a nurse assistant, so a license from the state of Illinois. They can't take that course until they're 16 or above. So the options starting next year are some prerequisite, I shouldn't call them prerequisite, but they're foundational courses. One of them is an exploration in health careers and medical terminology. And then the other one is an introduction to patient care skills. And all of these courses are dual credit with Triton College. Next, please. And then I'll finish with this. Our science programming doesn't end with the school day. We have a robotics team, a science Olympiad team, an environmental science club, a chemistry club. I missed that one on the slides. And then we also have field courses that typically, they won't run this summer, but typically during a non-COVID summer, they would run and they visit places like Costa Rica, Tanzania, United Kingdom, the Florida Keys, Yellowstone. And basically they do ecological field experience studies while they're there. And they also do some coursework leading up to the trip too in the spring semester. So they can get elective credit for those courses. And they would want to take a look in the fall for announcements about registering for those if they're interested in them. And I think that's it for me. Yep. Okay. And I'm not sure who's next because I don't have the slideshow. Do any of my colleagues know who's next?
Hi, Matt, I'm next.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, sorry.
That's all right. Hello, everyone, students and parents. Welcome to OPRF. I'm Claudia Sagun, World Languages Division Head, and I will walk you through how I did the language placement or recommendations for your son or daughter. Next slide, please. So before we go into the details of placement, if your son or daughter, if they don't want to continue with the language that they've been studying, that's okay, because we offer other languages. They can pick up Chinese, German, Italian, Japanese, Latin. And if they want to choose a different language than the one they're studying, they just enroll in level 1, okay? So lots of choices. Next slide. Okay, so along with what my colleagues have said, we look at different factors to recommend a level, but in my area in particular, I look at the language proficiency that they demonstrate when they take the Spanish exam or the French exam. I also look at their current grade, the number of years they've studied the language, and the other exams that they take. And in combination of all those factors, students are recommended for 1 or 2 different levels, because you know your student best, you know which level might be the best for them. So that's the reason there's also 2 levels, okay? So that's our recommendation process. And next slide. And in our division, we also offer English as a second language. This is for students who are learning English. And the state requires us to give you a home language survey for every family that is new to the district. And if you answer yes to any of the 2 questions that they ask, we have to screen your son or daughter to ensure that they do or do not need an ELL service. Okay. And then after you submit that, if there is options to opt out if you don't need, you already know English. Okay, next slide. I think that's it for me. If you have any questions with languages, feel free to email me. And up next is our PE division head, Mr. Clay Reagan.
Good evening, everyone. And thanks for coming out and listening to us tonight. Hope we're answering all your questions. Obviously, there's the chat down below or the Q&A down below if you still have any questions when we're done. As Claudia said, my name is Clay Reagan, and I am the division head for PE Health and Driver's Education. You can go ahead to the next slide, please. At OPARC and the state of Illinois, we require students to pass 8 semesters of physical education for graduation. So every student will take PE each semester that they are at OPARC, with the exception of 2 semesters. One, they can substitute driver's education or health during the school year, and they would not have to take PE. So, for example, I'll get to it, but in their freshman year, they'll take 1 semester of PE and 1 semester of health, and that will count as 2 of PE. Okay. Driver education and health, as I said, will be substituted for PE during the school year. Driver's education is also offered during summer school. Right? If a student takes driver's education during summer school, then their sophomore year, they would still take 2 semesters of physical education. Right? And different from in past years, health is only taken during the school year. Next slide, please. Our freshman PE is 1 semester. Our freshman year is 1 semester of PE and 1 semester of health education. For PE, students will participate in life fitness or introduction to fitness. We have some great facilities to for our kids to get a ground knowledge of fitness concepts and introductory fitness application in their life. We do introduction to movement, which is a combination of dance, yoga, Pilates, mobility stuff. So, and then we do an basic swimming course. Our swimming course is tiered into 3 levels. So if you have an advanced swimmer, there is a level 3, and that looks different from a level 1 where a swimmer may not be able to swim at all. So we build a swim curriculum in order to meet the needs of our students. And then the opposite semester, you will be taking health, and in health we cover a wide array of topics, but we do cover mental health, wellness and nutrition, substance abuse, human reproduction and diseases, as well as healthy relationships. Next slide. This is probably more of what your students are interested in, that sophomore year. Sophomore year is 1 semester of PE and then driver education. Sophomore year during PE, they will take step back or self-defense. This is a class that is split by gender. The boys take a step back class and the girls take a self-defense class. And these classes are separated because the ways in which kids defend themselves and the tools that we provide students are very different. So we built 2 classes to meet the needs of our students. There will be a swimming unit, which builds on our freshman unit of swimming, and then we do cooperative games and another level of fitness as well. Next slide. Driver education can be taken as a sophomore during the school year or summer school. A freshman student must pass 8 classes in order to be eligible for driver's ed. So that's a great incentive to get things moving right out of the gate freshman year. Students must be 15 years of age in order to take driver education. So for most of our incoming freshmen, that means your first opportunity would be to take driver's education the summer following your freshman year if you are 15 and you passed 8 classes. I think that's it for me. Next up is our newest division head. We'd like to welcome Samaj Coleman. He is our Fine and Applied Arts division head.
Thank you, Clay. As he stated, I am the freshman of the division head group. So it's my pleasure to welcome you all out tonight. Again, I am the newest addition to the team, and I am the division head for the Fine and Applied Arts. And so I'm going to take the next couple of minutes to go over everything that our division has to offer your students. Thank you. So again, my name is Dr. Samaj Coleman. I'm the division head. And as you can see the picture on the right side of the screen, that's most of our team that will be educating your students as they come in next year. We are super excited for that. My division encompasses a lot of different departments. We have everything from visual arts, speech arts, which is mostly theater and broadcasting. We have music, we have family and consumer sciences, and we also have business education. So I wanted to talk about a couple of minutes on the graduation requirements for your student. So in order to graduate from Oak Park and River Forest High School, they have to have at least one fine and performing arts credit. They have to have at least one applied art credit, one financial literacy credit, and one computer proficiency credit. The important thing to notice here is that some of our courses actually will satisfy 2 credits. However, you can only choose one at a time. So you can't take one class and say, well, it's a fine art and it's a financial literacy credit. You have to choose which credit that you want to use. So we'll start with the visual arts. The freshman courses for our visual arts is Art Foundations, or you can also take Photo One. Both of these courses are offered during summer school. So if you're interested in taking at least one of those courses during the summer school, I do encourage you to do so, because then that opens up some possibilities for when you're actually in the school building. And these are what we call our prerequisites or our gateway classes. So you have to have these uh, courses. You have to satisfactorily pass these courses before you take any of the other courses that are located in our next slide. So once you pass either Art Foundations or Photo One, which is a semester long course, you are able to take anything from drawing, wheel throwing, printmaking, painting, sculpture, graphic design, or metalworking. So those are usually taken semester 2 after you've taken your semester 1 Art Foundations or Photo. Or you can take them in the semester 1 if you've taken them Art Foundations or Photo in the summer school. And here is a snapshot of our flow chart of how, again, you can start off with Art Foundations or Photo, and the courses below are how you can matriculate through our system. The bottom courses, again, are courses that we offer, but those aren't offered right away to our freshman students. So you'll get to know those courses as you become an OPRF sophomore, junior, or senior. Now for our performing arts department. Again, our performing arts department encompasses music, theater, and also broadcasting. Um, I'm sorry, yes, music, theater, or broadcasting. Next slide. So for our theater students, those who are very dramatic and love to act, the courses that they can take in freshman year is either Acting 1, or you can take Theater Technology and Design. Once you take those courses, especially Acting 1, then the next semester you can take Acting 2, you can take Directing, or you can take Musical Theater Seminar. And if you look at the very bottom, we have Musical Theater Workshop. That is a class that is offered during summer school. So again, I do encourage you to explore your options in the summer and possibly take that course. Next slide. For those students who want to go the broadcasting track, you do have Intro to Broadcasting, which is something that you can take. Once you satisfactorily pass Intro to Broadcasting, then you can either take radio sound production or you can take creative filmmaking. I will like to point out that we have an award-winning TV studio right in our school. So if you're really interested in maybe being in behind the camera or in front of the camera, I do ask that you maybe look into broadcasting. It's a really, really good space, and it allows our students to explore their creative side. Next slide, please. Again, here's our flow chart. Again, notice that the classes that are at the top are our gateway classes, Acting or Intro to Broadcasting. Some of these classes, for example, Advanced Theater Study, you can take that class more than once. And also for Acting 1 or Acting 2, you can enroll in those courses all 4 years. So freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior years. If you are very, very into acting, you can enroll in those courses for 4 years straight. Next slide, please. For our music students, We have freshman incoming music students. We have concert band, string orchestra, songwriting and guitar, and treble chorus and bass chorus. And the important thing to notice here is these are not semester courses. These are actually year-long courses. And so if you enroll in one of these courses, you will be in that class for semester 1 and semester 2. Next slide. And again, the flow chart, notice again for instrumental, if you have concert band, once you have satisfactorily taken concert band, you can matriculate into symphonic band, wind symphony, wind ensemble, or you might be enrolled in our jazz ensemble. For orchestra, you can take string orchestra as a freshman, but then you'll matriculate into concert orchestra or symphony orchestra. Same thing with songwriting. You'll either go once you take songwriting guitar 1, you'll be able to go to songwriting guitar 2. Any of our students are able to take AP music theory if they're inclined to. If they're looking to major in music at the next level, I will ask that you look into that course. And for the vocal music track at the bottom, once you are either you take treble choir for sopranos and altos or bass choir for tenors and basses, from there you can go into either chorale, a cappella, and chamber. The important thing to notice is that our music courses are through audition, and we'll post the audition dates on our website a little bit later. But it's important to know that if your student is a music student, that they have to actually audition, and based on the auditions, they will be placed in the appropriate class. One other thing I would like to point out for music and our theater, freshman students are required to have a study hall. However, freshmen are able to waive their study hall requirement if they choose to take a theater or a music class. So again, if you are a freshman student and you don't want to have the requirement of having a freshman study hall, you are allowed to take a theater or a music class instead of that freshman study hall. Next slide, please. So for our applied arts, we do have family and consumer sciences. These are the courses that they can take. Freshmen can come in and take culinary arts, which deals with, the science of cooking and creating food. And or they can take childhood development, which is a track for either elementary education or early childhood education. Next slide, please. Again, this is our flow chart for family and consumer science. We actually have 4 tracks. So again, if the students choose the culinary arts track, they will take culinary arts and then matriculate to either baking and pastry, global foods, mini restaurant, or fitness and foods, which is actually a class that we partner with physical education teachers. If they take the early childhood education sequence, once they take the childhood development class, the flow chart is a little bit off, but once they take child development, then they'll be able to either take elementary education if they are possibly wanting to go into education as a career, and that deals with K through 5 teaching, and or they can take early childhood education, which deals more with pre-kindergarten students. And the other tracks below are the apparel textile sequence, which encompasses housing, interior design, clothing construction, and fashion merchandising, and our career pathway sequence, which is also something that we partner with Triton College with. Next slide. For our business education freshman courses, they can take financial literacy, which is again a requirement. They can take keyboarding. They can take computer applications. And those classes will actually matriculate into other courses that we have once they have completed those. And that's video game, multimedia development, website development, and other courses that we have on the next slide. So again, once they take their financial literacy class, they'll be able to take other courses such as sports, music marketing, business incubator, accounting and investment principles, business accelerator, or they could take website development, student help desk, intro to computer animation, or video game and multimedia development. So we have quite a few courses in our business department that can help to hone the skills of students who may want to go into business once they graduate, or maybe want to design computer software. Next slide, please. There are numerous departments in our actual division. So the slide that I have up now are the actual department heads of all of those departments. So feel free to contact any one of us if you have any more questions. And now I do have the privilege of introducing to you all Dr. Kennedy Dixon next.
Good evening, everyone. I am Dr. Kennedy Dixon, and I serve as the Director of Special Education. Within the Special Education Department, we have 2 administrators, so I am one of 2. Our Executive Director is Shalima Francois Blue. Next slide, please. I want to take a few minutes to talk to you all about our transition meetings. For our students who have IEPs that will be transitioning into the high school, when we talk about our IEP meetings, who should be in attendance? Parent or caregiver should attend the meeting. Students are highly encouraged to attend. Parents, what you will see about our IEP meetings at the high school is that we began to transition the IEP to make certain that students are actively involved in the decision-making process as they are at the high school. We also invite representatives from District 90 and District 97 to attend, so that we will be able to get information about your student, and so that we can all sit down and talk about courses and what's best for your student. What will the IEP team accomplish at the meeting? We'll look at the courses that have been recommended, which you've already received. We'll look at any related services that your student may need. We'll look at goals, accommodations, and post-high school transition. Next slide, please. So, what should you do to get prepared? Parents should complete the process today of selecting courses with counselors. Please know that final decisions about courses will take place at the upcoming transition meeting. So we do ask parents on tonight to still continue to complete your yellow form, but know that final selection of your courses will take place at the IEP meeting. Make appointments for freshman physicals. We realize during this time, it's kind of difficult to get in to see a doctor, but we do ask that you make appointments for your freshman physicals. Fees for all students, both on campus and off-campus programming, must be paid. It's important for parents to know that for students in our department that may be serviced off campus, they are still Oak Park and River Forest high school students. So we do ask that everything that we do in terms of our registration and paperwork and fees are also completed for our students that are placed off campus. For students who will be receiving services in their IEP under the exceptionality of other health impaired, we do require a current medical diagnosis from the student's primary physician. That is very important for us under that category, other health impaired. What should students do? Continue to think about the activities they may be interested in OPRF. You're going to learn a lot about all of the activities. So we want students to continue to be excited about those activities. and also look forward to a great freshman year. Next slide, please. We are excited to welcome you to our school. I ask that you enjoy the rest of the night. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me after tonight. Parents contact me all the time with questions. I do ask that if you have specific questions about your child, that you wait and you contact me about that personally and not put those in the chat, because I do want to respect the privacy of all of our students that are coming in. So if you've got general questions, place them in the chat. But if there's specific questions, I do ask that you contact me personally so that I can make certain I protect and honor the privacy of each one of our students. Thank you so much.
Well, that concludes the formal part of our presentation tonight, and the counselor meetings are slated to begin right now. So there are a handful of questions that we haven't gotten to in the chat. We've answered many of them as the evening went along. If you have a question that didn't get answered, please try, if it's a math question, you're going to email Dr. Fry. If it's a science question, you're going to email Mr. Kirkpatrick, and so forth. And we'll do our level best to get to those questions as quickly as we can. Thanks so much. Have a wonderful evening.